Ashish, can you talk to us and enlighten us with your thought process is about what's happening in oil markets? Particularly, there's a fear that oil will come back to 110, 120 per dollar barrel, and what is this oil saga is all about? Because we are hearing that for managing the demand, they are cutting down the supply side. And second concern is the rupee weakening against dollar at reaching 82.5. These are the two concerns. So if you can just throw some more lights.
So, definitely nowhere close to being an expert on either of the topics, but whatever I read or whatever, and frankly, we believe in running a portfolio which is geared more to beat BSE 500 as consistently as possible. So we don't start our day by thinking about macros. It is our job to nullify or neutralize the macros, but not really to forecast the macros. Having said so, I'll try and do justice to your question. I think as far as the dollar and the rupee is concerned, here is my 2 cents on it. See, let's understand one thing, that why is the dollar strengthening so much? Apart from all the conspiracy theories, let's leave that aside. But if you just go purely, first principles, or if you think in basics, the basic is that dollar is appreciating obviously because they have run away inflation. To control inflation, they need to raise rates. So something which was practically giving 0% return is now giving 3 to 4% return. So obviously, if you raise rates so much and start paying 3-4% on government bonds, then you will attract a lot of inflow. Correct. So obviously, they are attracting a lot of money being attracted to the dollar because they are raising interest rates. They are raising interest rates to cool off the economy. Let's not forget that. Correct. The second is that dollar, US, when the whole world, I described to you in detail, but when the world is under duress, clearly US is seen to be as a safe haven. So if US is seen to be as a safe haven, then that will also mean that a lot of people would rather park their money in US government bonds or treasuries. So two reasons why the dollar is appreciating. And other currencies in varying degrees are depreciating. But let's not forget what was the antecedents? Why were they raising rates? They are raising rates to cool off the economy. So with some lag effect, ultimately, the dollar has to reflect their economic reality, which is that they are headed for a slowdown, if not a recession, at least a slowdown. So ultimately, the dollar has to reflect their economic reality. That economic reality is that ultimately it should start to, cool off or start to depreciate. That is what their economic reality is, right? It is now getting a double whammy because of safe haven as well as rising rates. But I think at some point in time, the geopolitics might settle down. Even if not the geopolitics, at some point in time, the US economic data will become weaker. And hence, the dollar would lose some value. And on a relative basis, we might actually, if I tell you about global financial crisis, I don't know if you would know or recall, but before the crisis, rupee was 42 to a dollar. When the crisis played out, rupee went to 48. And after the crisis, when the US economy went into a recession, rupee went to 38 or 39. That's how the history played out. Right now, I think dollar is in a much, people are a bit more dependent on dollar. Dollar is in more stronger position on a relative basis purely because Europe and China and all are doing badly. So I think either the geopolitics has to settle down a little bit or the US economic data has to get weaker. In both these cases, or even in one of these cases, if it happens, you will see that our currency starts to do better and dollar stops dominating so much. This is one thing to keep in mind. Oil, I really don't know, but the point is that if the world is in trouble, I don't see how, and the fact is that if they have to cut supply to manage oil prices, then that is clearly a sign of weakening. So again, oil, definitely I'm not an expert, but I don't think it can sustain at high levels other than this geopolitical, flaring up, temporary flare-ups, like, it did go to 125 and all also. Those are temporary flare-ups. But the point is that barring those temporary flare-ups based on the news, fundamentally, if you think of first principles, like I said, if they have to cut supply just to hold the price, or if there is actually a weakness in the global economy, not sure why oil should keep going higher.
Thank you, Aashish.